folks, and welcome to Garbage Theater. Tonight's installment, Morons from Outer Space. I'm your host, Chase, with my co-host, Blake and John.
Hello.
Should have used my weapon. Should have used my weapon.
What happens when you take one part Spaceballs, one part E.T., one part One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, one part Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and one part Blues Brothers? You get shit is what you get.
You get the next nominee for Desert Heat.
Oh, please.
Dude, I was shocked how much I liked this movie.
This movie damn near robbed me the will to live.
What?
This movie was terrible.
I laughed. Maybe I'm just getting stupid, but I loved this movie, and I was shocked that I was loving it.
You know, we've got the full range here because, I didn't hate it, but I also didn't really enjoy it that much.
I was expecting such dry humor throughout, but it wasn't. It was funny.
It was not.
There was definitely some gags that were funny. There was some stuff that was straight Zucker Brothers style gags. The problem was that there weren't enough of them. Zucker Brothers movies are just gag after gag after gag, and this just didn't have the sheer volume of gags. So everything in between was just boring.
Yeah, I didn't know what
if you didn't chuckle at that dinner party scene, I'm sorry. That was funny.
Which dinner? What?
The dinner party with all the rich people, and then they found out the aliens there, and that one chick's just screaming, "The aliens are coming!" and somebody slaps the shit out of her, and then she punches them back. That was fucking hilarious.
I did not find any of this funny at all. Sorry. It was just this. There was no point to anything that was happening. I hated the fact that the aliens are human.
That's a big problem for me.
And not even that, they're just humanoid looking. They're human. They're human. They say they're human beings. They just happen to be from another planet. Yeah,
they just happen to evolve parallel to us or something. That was pretty shitty. I'll give you that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with Chase though. That's the other thing that really bothered me was there's just no story, no characters, and an occasional joke that lands.
Shit just happens, and they make tongue-in-cheek references to other movies, and then it ends.
Essentially.
Yeah. Well, then I guess we don't need to record the rest of the episode.
It was
on to the quiz.
It feels like a made-for-TV movie.
Yeah.
Well, it was made for Comet.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, let's, I guess, go ahead and get into it. Not a lot of notes.
I don't even want to talk about it.
Neither do I. Oh, I don't want let me tell you. I procrastinate. I mean, everybody knows this episode's late, and it's late for a reason. I don't think anybody wanted to watch this fucking thing.
I really didn't want to watch it, but when I did, I was happy.
I was like, oh yeah, good. I knew I didn't want to watch this thing.
Y'all are crazy.
No. Okay, so getting into it.
Mm-hmm.
We open up to... Oh yeah, I forgot. They also rip off Star Wars. So...
Yeah, of course. Of course they do.
We just open up with the Star Wars ripoff of the spaceship flying by over the camera, accompanied by some Gaelic fifing.
Yes.
To set the tone. The spaceship is towing a mobile home, and that's the only way to put that.
Yeah, and it was a mobile home. But this is before I started liking the movie. So immediately in my notes, I'm pissed and shitting on it. Talking about why is there a chain pulling something through space? And it's that's the worst way to pull something in space.
It's not even like the Winnebago in Spaceballs where it kind of looks like a spaceship. It's just a trailer.
But if you're pulling something with a chain in space, when you stop, it's going to keep going at the same rate of speed until it runs into the back of whatever pulled it.
Let's not get into the rules of space with this movie.
I got a whole fucking thing on the rules of space.
Apparently, space just equals slow motion.
Yeah.
That's one of the notes, too. This is before I was in love with it, though, like I said.
So, a quote-unquote spaceman comes out of his trailer park little house and tightrope walks across the chain that's dragging his trailer from the main spaceship. Why don't they just live in the main spaceship?
He wasn't living there. He was there looking for parts.
But why was it? Why was he there? Why were they towing it? Why not just?
That's the part trailer.
It's like they were bringing it. It was like the main spaceship was just the engine to drag around their little hovel.
Pretty much.
So,
well, or because they only rented the spaceship.
Yes. Not to spoil the major turning point of the movie or anything. The major payoff of all 90 minutes of this thing. Oh, Lord. So he gets over, he hits a button, and a bunch of garbage raids down on him, and that's that.
Which, why would the garbage fall if it's in zero gravity?
Like I said, space is just slow motion. Earth rules. Earth gravity, Earth everything. But slow motion.
Okay, so, and not to get into this particular argument, but I saw a video on like physics and The Last Jedi, because everyone complained about the bombs in The Last Jedi. And there is gravity in space, like, and we know that they were close to Earth, so things would still fall toward Earth. Like, its gravitational field would be like large enough that things could still be attracted to that body.
Well, good thing we invited Bill Nye to the fucking show.
So the spaceman gets back to the space trailer. His name's Desmond. He comes in, and apparently they're looking for fuses so they can get unlost in space. They're all just normal human people. They say that they're 15 light years away from the nearest intelligent life, when it's revealed that Earth is like a couple of inches away. So, cut to London at a television studio. They wrap production, and all the anchors rip off their hair and run out of the studio.
Hilarious.
I mean, if they're going to lunch, if they're just going to lunch, they should probably leave those on.
Yeah, they rip off their news hair and flee the studio.
Like, dude, this is where I was like, holy shit, this is funny.
It's popping off.
And like, not only like they didn't just take off their hair, they like feverishly ripped off their hair.
Yeah,
and took off.
They hung them on the hat rack.
Yeah, they took their hat off the hat rack and hung their hair on the hat rack.
I love this movie.
Jesus Christ. So,
like, I don't begrudge you that. Like, I can see there. Like I said, there was a lot of stuff that I thought was actually pretty funny. I just like I have no interest in ever watching it again.
That's for damn sure.
Well, if it's ever on Comet when I'm flipping through my antenna channels, I'll definitely stop and watch.
So we cut back to space, and it's time for a rousing game of Spaceball. Groan. One of the
well, okay, so because I thought they were ripping off Spaceballs from the get-go.
Oh, they
I thought
are.
that first shot. Well, this came out before Spaceballs.
Come on.
Oh shit!
Yeah,
Spaceballs ripped this off.
This came out.
I dare say they even got the name of the movie.
Thanks for
making the name of the movie from this movie.
Thanks for making this whole experience worse, John.
I'm sorry.
Damn,
that's
Mel
what
Brooks is a fucking fraud.
Son of a bitch.
Yes.
So, well, Mel Brooks did it better.
That's true. That's true, though.
I guess I'll concede that one.
So, one of the spacemen, Bernard, is Bertram. What's his name?
His name's Bernard, but those limey bastards say Bernard.
Bernard. He's out there playing basket soccer ball, and Desmond decides to just detach part of the ship and flies out, leaving Bernard behind. Desmond doesn't know where he's going, but he hopes he can find a drink wherever they wind up.
This series of events is complete nonsense. So Desmond, who does not know how to pilot their spaceship, decides to pilot the spaceship to somewhere in the middle of space where he can get a drink, leaving a crew member behind.
Knowing they're 15 light years from anything.
Why are y'all complaining? They warned you in the title of the movie. He's a moron.
Yes, they're all morons. That's their only character trait.
So, cut to Alaska at the space monitoring station there, and all the equipment in the room is lighting up, and they pick up a spaceship. On the spaceship, it's going haywire as the stove and the dishwasher goes berserk. You know, those staple components of a spaceship.
Yeah, those things that aliens would have.
So, the commander at the Alaska station calls out to boot up the Indian Ocean security cam. There's just a camera on a pole in the middle of the Indian Ocean, apparently.
I didn't like this. Okay, here we go. So, okay, pull up the Indian Ocean camera. It's one camera that happens to catch what happens in this vast ocean. Like,
it's that one camera.
And just happens to crash right by the one camera in the middle of the ocean?
Mm-hmm. Why not? Why not?
That was stupid.
So,
well, this is so this is another thing in their ship. Like, there was a shot of toilet paper, and I was like, they got toilet paper too? These aliens who evolved like light years away from Earth on another planet under completely different circumstances and atmospheres and whatnot.
Well, they still have assholes.
They still developed the same kind of asshole situation that we got.
No 3 seashells or anything?
Nothing weird?
Paper on a roll. Take that. Just buy into it. So,
but they got British accents.
Wait,
they have goddamn British accents.
All the controls in the ship are labeled in English.
Wait. Maybe I am a fucking idiot because it just hit me that they have English accents.
Jesus Christ!
Like, why do they even speak English?
That's just the biggest sticking point for me is that they're just British people.
This is a dumb fucking movie. You should have used your weapon.
I should have. I'm actually mad that I didn't.
Could have saved us from this.
Oh man!
Again, I'm not even mad about the movie. It's just like not a great movie for the show.
No, it isn't. This will not be a good episode.
Since when have I picked good movies for the episode?
Swamp
May I
Ape was one
direct
of
you
our
to China Salesman?
I direct you to Swamp Ape.
Well, those are arguably more in our wheelhouse.
Yeah. So, the ship skips off the Indian Ocean and lands in London. The ship scrapes along behind an elderly couple in a car before it runs them off the road and murders them.
Hilarious.
There's a weird thing in this movie about just like casual mayhem and like murder.
More cars fly off of overpasses and cleave through other passing cars underneath.
I just liked how he was
all over the place.
He's got a steering wheel in front of him in a spaceship and he's hitting the horn. Like, that was fucking funny.
And this whole scene is reacted to in the most British way possible. Oh, madness.
Yes.
Did you get that number? Oh, I believe I missed it, dear.
What did he say? Like,
I think they were Belgian.
Belgium.
Yeah.
I think they were Belgian.
Makes sense.
The ship comes to rest and wakes up all of the UK as lights are turning on everywhere. The police call in a spaceship very nonchalantly on the radio.
See, I liked these guys.
The police?
Yeah. The guy's like, should I put up the cones?
Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
See? This movie is funny.
Nope. Nope. You'll never get me to agree to that. It's not going to happen. So calls start coming into the TV station that's being overseen by just this one bumbling man trying to answer all the phones.
Yeah, because when everybody, took their hats and left their hair and went on to the pub, they left one idiot in charge. We forgot to mention that.
Yeah,
it was like the mailroom kid or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Well, they say later that he was like a assistant. He was high up, from what I understand.
He was an idiot.
Yeah, he was just fumbling.
Everyone knew he was an idiot, and he still had a job.
So, meanwhile, the red phone rings for the Prime Minister, and he answers it, but it turns out that the call is actually for Commander Natterson? Was that the name?
I couldn't catch it.
I don't know.
I think it was Madison.
The next British guy in the long list of British guys who we barely get names for.
Mm-hmm.
So he gets on the phone, and more British reaction. Aliens from another planet? Oh, well, that's a tricky one, isn't it?
Comedic genius, man.
So he leaves, locks all of his dinner guests in the dining room, and calls for the press to be kept out of these matters. And that's when the press immediately starts scrambling into action, juxtaposed. The head of the TV station's barking orders to all of his employees when a shirtless man throws something at his head and says that they're all going to die, and chaos breaks loose.
The entire world's losing it.
Man.
All the dinner guests at the commander's place are in an uproar, and this movie is chaos at this point.
And for some reason, they have like dudes with the powdered wigs on, like they're the ones serving the food.
Yeah.
And like they're like running around crazy, and that made me laugh.
So the aliens wake up in their crashed ship, happy that Bernard isn't there because he would have been upset by this awful mess. Meanwhile, Bernard's sneezing up in space somewhere, and it's important for reasons, I guess, that we keep cutting back to him.
I was a little let down that, the whole big thing of this trailer we saw was the dude sneezing in his helmet.
And it's just a throwaway gag.
It was just a throwaway thing. And then it was gone in the next take. Like, how the fuck he cleaned it?
This whole movie was a throwaway gag, so... The cleanup crew swarms the woods where the ship landed, and all the lunatics are already out trying to track down the spaceship. The military hold back the media as the officials push their way through. A woman that lives on the land starts taking pot shots at the officials as they're walking by. Have that woman shot, please.
Just casually orders this woman murdered.
And then you hear the gunshot like 2 seconds later, and it's hilarious.
It's like they're trying to be kind of Monty Python with it.
Yeah.
But no.
Have that woman shot.
No. Mrs. Knickerbader exploded. This is not.
Whatever that is.
Yeah. Monty Python nerds will get it.
I've never seen a Monty Python movie.
I know you haven't.
I just love saying that out loud.
You hadn't seen Blazing Saddles till like a couple months ago.
Yeah. Boy, howdy, did I screw the pooch on that one.
I mean, you like this shit. You're going to love Monty Python movies.
That's well done British comedy. So, the U.S. Army arrives via this one single helicopter, and they deploy on site. They give a press statement that the crashed vessel was actually just an experimental hovercraft and not a spaceship at all. Back in space...
Can we talk about how the dude in charge of gets out of the helicopter?
Yeah. Also pretty good.
Exactly. Like, they got all those, like, it's supposed to be, like, hokey American music, I guess, like, because he's supposed to be an idiot. And, like, he comes out of the helicopter, and he walks the wrong way, and somebody has to tell him to go the other way. And when he does it all, like, smooth.
He does, like, this little swirly point in the right direction, and starts falling.
It's all about the confidence where he confidently walks in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Back in space, an actual alien lands and picks up Bernard.
Was it?
Was
it an alien or some kind of space zombie?
Maybe like they said, maybe he had just been in space longer. That's why he looked.
Because
they
went through in the beginning where they were talking about other spacemen being lost in space to where they wither away and they're just skin hanging off their bones. And this guy kind of looked like he just opened the Ark of the Covenant.
Yeah.
So it could just be an old desiccated spaceman that's like a corpse. I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah, I don't know.
At least it looked. At least it was another human. So
yeah,
I'll take that. So the alien stops, picks up Bernard, and as they fly away, the alien asks Bernard if he's a male or a female of his species.
So I guess he wasn't a human.
Think that he's not a human. Yeah. Bernard answers that he's indeed a male human. So the alien, upset by the fact that he can't get his rocks off with Bernard, ejects him into space and sends him hurtling down to Earth.
This is a pretty extreme case of gay panic here. Like, listen, guy, like, if you were attracted to Bernard before you knew he was a guy, then you might have to come to terms with some stuff, you know? Maybe you're somewhere else on the gay straight spectrum than you thought you were.
I'm about to say, maybe he realized, oh shit, like, I'm on the spectrum. Maybe I need to think about this myself. Yeah, and that's why he got rid of him, to contemplate.
Can we not refer to being gay as being on the spectrum? I don't think that's...
Well, no. A spectrum.
No, I'm not talking about the spectrum. I'm saying like a spectrum.
You literally just said the spectrum.
Well, the gay, the sexuality spectrum. God damn it!
We're on the same page, Blake.
Thank you, but Jesus.
Anyway. Bernard survives his blast down to Earth somehow. Back at the Ministry of Defense, the Goose Division.
Pretty good. Another pretty good gag.
Yeah.
Another shot in the dark that missed for me. They cut to the Ministry of Defense, and there's a little lake with two swans in it, and then the swans jump up, and they're just hats that look like swans, and there's guards like scuba
people are
guards.
Throwing them pieces of bread, and then they pop up and they're like, "Jog on."
Oh man, I love that shit.
So that lone man left in charge of the TV studio just kind of sneaks into the Ministry of Defense. All the agents here are disguised as aliens, like traditional aliens, for reasons unbeknownst to me.
I don't know. I was a little lost by that too. But
he says that they've disguised themselves as aliens, but for what reason I cannot figure out.
Right.
I'm thinking that they wanted to present a sort of a familiar look to the creatures from space.
But they're all over the place. Like no two are the same. And they're like Muppet Show aliens.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's that weird pink monster that's like some baseball team's
the
mascot.
The Philly freak.
The Philly fanatic. Yeah.
Yeah, fanatic.
Yeah,
not the
him.
freak.
That's what they look like.
So they have an expert setting up his equipment next to the spaceship now, Professor Trousseau, who is their communications expert, who speaks only French and has trouble communicating. But they listen in as Desmond makes love to his lady friend, and more, hilarity of that kind. Oh, it's hilarious. Trousseau spins around on the organ like goddamn Terry Jones in Flying Circus.
Well, that was funny because it was like a crate with a little French flag on it. And all the walls fell down, and there he was, like he had that shit ready to go.
Yeah. Because they do the whole Close Encounters thing where they play the bomb, 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 bomb. and then it turns into him clanking away on his pipe organ.
It was good, man. Shit.
No. So the ship opens up and the aliens come out, and everyone's kind of disappointed that there's just people.
This was a gag that actually made me... I think this is probably the gag that got the biggest laugh out of me.
Oh, yeah.
It's like the door starts opening, and everyone outside the ship is freaking out. And it gets to a certain point where the door just falls off.
Yeah.
And then the woman just wanders past the door and looks out. She calls Desmond, and Desmond is like taking a shit or something. And he finally comes out, sees all these guys out there just like aiming guns at him. And he's like, "Did you guys do this to the door?"
Oh, shit.
I could give that joke credit if it wasn't surrounded by the rest of this movie. I mean, that's basically "What'd you do?" from Tommy Boy.
Yeah. Tommy Boy stole from this movie.
Oh, Lord. So the undercover TV man calls the station to give them the scoop. The officials file into a larger room where they bring out one of the aliens.
Wait. We missed a big chunk of something. And I guess I should have... I didn't realize we were past it. So whenever they're going to look at the aliens, they're all wearing these contamination suits or decontamination suits.
Mm-hmm.
And the American guy is missing his because the reporter guy stole it.
Yeah.
So whenever the American comes into the room, he's like, "Don't I need something?" And he covers up the name tag on it with his hand.
He claps his hand over his name tag.
And so the American guy does it back because he thinks it's like a greeting or something.
Yeah.
And so
It's
throughout the rest of the movie,
salute.
everybody greets each other like
They all
that.
start doing that. Yeah.
How could
Maybe
you
there's
pass
some
up
little-
such comedic gold right there?
It's not bad. It's not bad.
It's like they put so much energy into those little things and let the whole rest of the movie go.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, my biggest problem with the movie isn't really even the jokes. It's just that there's no story and no characters.
Wow. It was enough for me.
So they file into a big room. They bring out one of the aliens. They've determined that they're human and just from another planet. Convenient. They ask him what planet he's from, but he's forgotten.
He's a moron.
He forgot what planet he's from. They test Desmond's math skills next. They write out this big, long theorem on a chalkboard. And they ask him if he can solve it. And he looks at it, and he asks the scientist, "Can you solve it?" He goes, "Well, yes." "Well, then why'd you ask me?"
I don't know why you're so upset by this movie. Obviously, John thinks it's hilarious. I think it's hilarious. Don't clarify any of that, John. Just stick with it. It's hilarious.
Okay.
I think you're the only one that has a problem with it.
Fine. I'll be the voice of reason throughout this whole episode. I'll gladly take up that mantle.
You know, another thing that bothered me about the movie, though, I will say, is the British have trouble with music in their comedies. Like the way they use music. So like the Morons have sort of a theme song. You know, it's this like dopey music that really kills a lot of the humor whenever it's on. But that's another complaint of mine.
The music wasn't up to standard.
Minor issue to otherwise wonderful.
It's a minor issue, but like it's something that I've noticed with a lot of British comedies is they have this awful like dumb fucking music to accompany a stupid character, and it kind of ruins any humor they may have.
Well, that makes me feel better because it's not just this movie; it's a cultural thing.
It does seem like it.
Yeah. So, and also meanwhile, Bernard's out in the woods, ridding the world of squirrels.
How long was he out there?
I'm supposed to say, it seemed like he was out there 10 minutes, and he's got like a full like armor set of squirrel
Head
pelts.
to toe.
Head to toe clothes made out of squirrels. So Desmond shows the world what a pen is next. The girl sings one of their popular alien songs, and this movie just keeps goddamn going, doesn't it? They finally figure out the name of the planet that they're from, and is it Blob or Lob?
I thought it was Blob.
It sounds like he says Blob, but later they're wearing shirts that say Loob.
Yeah, that was the name of a beer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, yeah, because they get the endorsement deals later.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, it's the name of the planet's Blob. So, there you go. A lot of thought went into that. Bernard, out in the woods, tries to communicate with a trash can. And as he's doing this, he gets struck by a truck. Bernard's in America, apparently.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And it took me a while. It took me a while to figure that out. He's in America. He gets hit by a truck, and an ambulance arrives in the woods and picks him up and takes him for an off-road trip to the hospital.
You skipped over a major plot point.
What?
Bernard started talking to the trash can.
Yeah.
And he thought that the trash can was representative of life on the planet.
Yeah.
So every time he talked to it, the little door swung and he thought it was answering him. He's like, okay, I'm coming back in 24 hours. Have your leader here.
Yeah. And
he comes back and there's more trash in the can, so the lid can't move. And he's like, well, you're awfully quiet tonight, which is fucking hilarious.
So far, I have not skipped anything important.
But then he sees the billboard and it's a bigger trash can on it. And he's like, oh, there's the leader. And
again,
he tries to talk to
no major plot points missed.
And then he got hit by the car.
What did that have to do with anything?
That was just a bit. It wasn't a real plot point.
It comes back later.
Oh, yeah, he's laying in the hospital and he starts talking to another trash can.
Yeah, the nurse is like thinking he's talking to her, but he's talking to the trash can.
Yeah, I'm sorry that I skipped out this bit that didn't land that they milked for half the movie.
I'm just kind of loving how much Blake loved it.
It's fucking great. Like, okay, that's the whole thing. Like, where people say, like, if aliens came here, like, who would they think was in charge? Like, some people say they think the dogs are in charge because you pick up their shit and all that stuff. But, like, this dude thought a trash can was in charge.
Oh,
I mean, he don't fucking know any better. He's a moron.
Why didn't he think that the squirrels were in charge?
He just immediately started killing the squirrels.
Went on an absolute kill crazy rampage on those things.
Maybe there's something similar to a squirrel on his planet. I don't know.
Probably. It's like the exact same planet.
So, the doctors slam him through the doors and he's treated by the nurses. The officials are disappointed that the aliens have turned out to be so stupid, but the American doesn't believe it and he thinks that it's just an act. They're waiting to catch us off guard. And that would have been a nice twist of the movie. Too bad it doesn't happen. The TV man that's spying on everything sees that the Americans are interrogating Desmond. Again, things just happening. Back with Bernard, and he's admitted into an insane asylum, and here we go with the Cuckoo's Nest. The whole, just the whole fucking movie, basically.
It was pretty
jam
exact.
into this.
They got a chief and everything.
Yeah, it was just it was an Eskimo instead of a Native American.
Fucking movie.
Oh, shit.
So the Americans seize control of the whole operation, and they plan to kill the aliens. And everybody seems pretty keen on the idea.
This right here was probably another one of my favorite bits. As he storms in and he's yelling about how they need to kill him. And then the next shot that cuts back to him, he's like magically got a Old West gun belt on.
Yeah, he's got two 6-shooters on him.
And a cigar. I don't know why I thought that was really funny.
So they rush out to kill the aliens when the undercover man from the TV station knocks out a guard and steals his key. He
doesn't knock him out, though.
No, he just hits him repeatedly.
And the poor guard's just like stumbling around like, ow!
So he rescues the aliens. just before the mob arrives. They're searching for them in their room and deduce that they've clearly gone through the air vent. The air vent, which is about, 8 by 8 inches. So
and they immediately send like the biggest woman in the room to try to go through the air vent.
She's just some nurse. And so after him, and they start shoving her in there.
I was laughing. I rewound that part a couple times because.
And then later, there's a reverse shot where you see that she's stuck in there, and they just abandoned her.
Yeah.
And there's another part like right after that where he's like, "What would you do if you were on the run?" And someone says, "Hide," and he's like, "All right, everybody hide."
Oh Jesus!
Like that's such a that's such like a Zucker Brothers or like Mel Gibson joke or Mel Brooks joke. Mel Gibson.
Like I honestly, what I thought while I was watching this was, I think if I had seen this in the correct time period, I would have loved it. Like no doubt, it definitely didn't age well. But think about the time it came out. Like it was on par. It would have been fine.
If you say this was on par with Mel Brooks movies from the same time period,
it was good enough for him to steal from.
And again, I want to stress that like there weren't that many. There weren't like as many jokes. It wasn't as dense with jokes as like a Mel Brooks. And they didn't all land as much.
Mel Brooks movies age just fine. You could watch Young Frankenstein today, and it's just as hilarious.
Young Frankenstein's amazing.
Young Frankenstein is fantastic. Yeah.
Some movies don't age well.
I'm not having this discussion where we're seriously comparing this to that.
Well, truth hurts sometimes.
God damn it! Where the hell was I? They steal a military truck, but the American colonel is hiding in back, but he's shot dead by the British commander who's in love with the female alien Sandra. And as they drive away, he just bursts into song.
Yeah.
Now this came out of nowhere, and this guy's basically been the straight man.
Yeah.
The whole time up to this point, and then for the entire rest of the movie, his thing is trying to impress this female alien. Just kind of comes out of nowhere.
This movie just went off the deep end.
Well, I like I forget the exact words of what they said, but whenever he's telling like he didn't mean that, he wasn't trying to hurt anybody, and then they said, well, what about those two, like the ones that he just shot? And on the ground, but the American still has the cigar in his mouth, and he's laying there dead, and he's still smoke coming out of him. I don't care what you say, Chase. I love this fucking movie.
So, the head of the TV station is hounding the employee to let him talk to the aliens so he can break the story. He's barricaded himself in his apartment with the aliens. The apartment's surrounded by all manner of silliness as they barricade themselves in. All the police are disguised as just random ass shit. One's of like a Frenchman on a bike, like a stereotypical cartoon Frenchman on a bike. There's a few that are disguised as like traffic cones and shit.
It seems unnecessary.
Yeah. Bernard sees all of this going down on the TV in the insane asylum and starts getting angry at all these assumptions of his friend's intelligence. The ex-TV employee goes out to confront the angry mob, and he gives them a big guilt trip for greeting the aliens with such hostility. The aliens come out and reveal that they've set his kitchen on fire. So he goes running back in, and the crowd, hoists the aliens up on their shoulders, and they're heroes now. Because of that speech.
Because there's space.
Okay, like, Chase, like, for like 2 minutes, quit being a cynical asshole. And if you found out that there was aliens and you could talk to them and hang out with them, you mean to tell me you wouldn't try to go like be their friends, or you'd be there like
they were just English
not
people,
like Mel Brooks aliens?
If they were just English people, I'd say you're probably just English people.
Well, never mind. I guess you couldn't do that for 2 minutes, could you?
What about the space germs? You don't know what they got.
Yeah, he's up there sneezing.
Well, that's the fourth alien.
Next thing you know, your butthole's falling out.
Yeah, now you got a whole different asshole situation.
No amount of space toilet paper is going to fix that.
Oh, God. Okay, so Bernard is getting some noise treatments. They put headphones on and blast him with noise, but he I mean, that didn't happen in Cuckoos. They electroshocked him, but
yeah, I don't know. It was
well. They still needed him to be functional in this movie, so they.
You can't plug your ears and block out electroshocks, I guess. So
yeah.
It's revealed that he had his ears plugged, and when they tried to give the chief a sedative, he used a phony wooden arm.
You can't tell me that shit wasn't funny, Chase. Come on. Bernard takes out his earplugs and shows the chief, and the chief just pulls off this fake stiff arm. Come on.
It's ridiculous.
It was a good
one.
So, they staged the daring escape from the mental asylum. You bet your ass they hit every note of Cuckoo's Nest doing this.
Yeah.
You better fucking believe it.
Bernard frees all the lunatics as he heads in the vague direction of England.
Well, he asked all the insane people which way to England, and they all point different directions.
And then as soon as he leaves, he tells them, to go off and live better lives. And then they just go insane and start wrecking everything.
They go ape shit.
So back in England, the aliens are being treated like royalty now. The British commander is still pursuing Sandra. He's got a room full of flowers delivered to her, and he arranges some big reception outside with music. Bernard sneaks into a diner back in the States and starts stealing food scraps from everywhere, while all the truckers are distracted by watching Sandra sing on the TV. After getting thrown out for eating a trucker's spaghetti with his hands...
That was funny, too, because the guy wasn't looking. And he just grabbing handfuls of spaghetti and adding cheese to it and shit.
So, after this, he decides to kill himself by tying himself to a boulder and throwing it off of a bridge with a squirrel rope that he's manufactured.
Which, okay, first off, there was no Jekyll ropes around, so he had to use a squirrel rope. Secondly, I was a little upset by that because when you see him on the bridge, I figured the big stone was to ensure that he would get drug underwater and drown in case,
Mm-hmm.
But, just jump ahead like a minute. He actually does go over by accident, and it's just like a dry riverbed. So what was the stone for? You're not going to speed up your fall.
Yeah,
these aliens have zero concept of how gravity works.
Nope.
He's a moron.
Oh, wait. You know what? You just turned me around. I'm not mad anymore.
Although I thought Bernard was supposed to be the smart one.
Well, according to the description of the movie, he was. But turns out he wasn't.
Smart in comparison? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I guess.
Yeah, because Jules was a fucking idiot.
Relative to the other three.
So, news breaks that the aliens are coming to New York for one night only. And Bernard tries to wave them down when they arrive, but he's smothered by the crowd.
Okay, now what's the timetable on this?
I don't know. I don't know.
Who the fuck knows?
Because, the aliens are coming to New York. Smash cut to the aliens in New York. And then, they have a show. They have a whole stage show
now,
they've developed and produced.
Yeah, we're doing the band thing. We're doing Blues Brothers now. So they put on their show, and their opening act, these gospel singers are out. And I don't even know what movie I'm watching anymore. They come out on a big paper mache rocket and start singing, and it's just god awful. they're all done up in like glam rock duds. Desmond's drinking heavily. He vomits all over Sandra from drinking too much and passes out.
Oh shit.
She's just like beating his ass on stage while he's like passing out.
Oh man.
After the show, they retreat to the dressing room where they run into Bernard, who snuck back there. They, however, want nothing to do with him and throw him out. Why?
I didn't get why not. Like they could have just. He wasn't like he threatened them.
They just don't like him because he's not as stupid as they are.
Like if anybody had a reason to be pissed off, it was him. They left him adrift in space.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
But even he was just like, "Hey, happy to see y'all."
Yeah. So they get the bodyguards to throw him out. As this happens, a giant spaceship hovers over the venue and shines its light down on the crowd. The ship lands, the doors open, and a single shadowy figure walks out, a la just like Close Encounters. But it's the Hertz Man. Essentially. It's one single, another human alien comes out, and he asks him, "Where's that spaceship that you guys rented? It was due back 5 weeks ago." He says, "Oh, well, you guys are going to have to come back with me." So they do.
But the way they do it, don't just say like they just do. It was like they kind of looked at each other, and it was all like, "Well, I guess the jig is up," and they just slowly walk onto the thing because now they gotta atone for this lost ship.
It's also all for like in front of this gigantic crowd of people. They're just like, "You guys should probably just get in the spaceship."
They get in the spaceship, it flies off. Bernard watches on in disbelief, matching the face that I'm having watching this. But then the TV man leeches onto Bernard and starts laying the groundwork to use him for some fame and fortune. And then the credits roll. And then the theme song plays.
The original theme song. We're morons.
See,
God damn it.
It's just like the Spaceballs theme song.
It's not.
The Spaceballs theme song's better.
Well, it's just repeating the name of the movie.
Watch out. Watch out, we're the Spaceballs.
Ooh, man.
You better run for cover because we're going to steal your air.
So
what you got is what we need, and all we do is dirty deeds. We're the Spaceballs.
Oh, shit. It was a good movie.
I'm just glad it's over.
All that happens, though, is that these dumb fucking aliens, like, crash on Earth, get made famous by accident. They just kind of, they're passive in everything. And then they just get picked up again. It's Escape from Planet of the Apes. They get picked up again, and then they leave.
It's a movie about nothing.
It is a movie about nothing.
Did Escape from Planet of the Apes come out before this?
I would think so. I don't know. I would think so, though. Had to.
That movie takes a dark turn, though, because they all die.
Yeah, but I think it does.
Here, this is easy to find out.
Yeah.
No, this came out after.
What?
So yeah.
Apes stole from this too?
No, this came out after Apes.
Oh, this came out after. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Phew.
Apes, Escape was from 71.
Yeah, I thought Apes was 70s. Yeah.
All right, good. I can handle Spaceballs stealing from it, but none of the apes. I mean, that would have hurt a little bit.
Okay, I'm terrified at these questions.
Oh, dude, I'm so fucking glad we got rid of the double features.
Oh, because of that.
I'm about to get a big ol' 0.
Because of that, I was like, fuck it. Like, I'm throwing haymakers now for questions.
Oh, man.
They're all legit questions. But judging by the way y'all talked about this movie, y'all ain't gonna get a fucking one of them.
It's gonna be
I couldn't pay attention.
I couldn't either. I did not want to pay attention to nitpicky details in this thing.
This is all things like this. I don't think maybe a couple of them. Well, I'm just gonna ask them.
Let's just do it.
Yeah, who's ready for the quiz? Both of y'all?
I'm ready.
Good.
I'm ready.
All right. Question number 1. Beginning of the movie with the newscast before they took off their toupees and all that. Right before the broadcast ends, what time does the news anchor say the news will return?
Oh shit!
Jeez.
Question number 2. Who was forced into the ventilation shaft?
Like a name?
There was a name. They said a name.
Oh.
Question 3. What street does Graham live on? What was that, question 3? Who owned the used car lot that the crazies destroyed?
Shit.
And the 5th question, I wanted this question because this was what I thought was the funniest part of the movie, and we didn't even talk about it on the podcast. But whenever they're introducing the aliens to all the diplomats in a line, like they have everybody standing in a line, they're like, oh, this is Prince blah blah blah, this is General blah blah blah. How was the second woman in line introduced?
Yeah, this is gonna be a big goose egg for me.
Yeah, this is a 0 for sure.
Alright, what time was the news gonna return?
This is the only one that there's a chance, because there's only so many times you can say. I'm gonna say 8 o'clock.
12:45.
Midnight.
Damn it.
Jeez.
Who was forced in the ventilation shaft?
Betty.
Gene?
It was Dr. Weiss.
Shit.
What street does Graham live on? Y'all should have got this one.
Mumford Place.
No.
The corner of Bangers and Mash.
No. It was on the side. It was painted on the side of the building where they hoisted the aliens up and carried them away.
I hated this movie.
It was Mornington Avenue. Who owned the used car lot? Once again, this was plastered on a wall, like huger than shit.
Ned.
Mel.
J.W. Eves.
That was close.
I mean, it was huge. It's the only thing you could read.
I totally believe you. I just was not looking.
And how is the second lady introduced?
No clue. Not even gonna guess.
Biggest slut in England.
Pretty close. No, when he gets to her, the guy behind him goes, and here's a lady with a crown. Oh, shit. All right.
Oh, man.
So,
This is going to be a low-scoring season.
Oh, yeah. So the scores stay exactly the same as they were last week. Blake with 2, John with 2, me with 1. Shit.
Still in the game.
Oh, my God.
Still in the game.
Good Lord.
All right, what are we watching next, Chase?
Well, we're gonna see. Get that button ready, John. See if I can't coerce this out of you.
Morons from Outer Space 2.
Even I wouldn't do that. We're gonna go back to that well that I love so much, with a little movie from 2003 titled "Rise of the Chupacabra," aka Bloodthirst: Legend of the Chupacabra. Tagline, if you breathe, it will find you.
Breathe or breed?
Breathe.
Oh, okay. I was saying, that's oddly specific.
1.4 stars on IMDb, 2.5 stars on Amazon.
Jesus.
Ouch.
Hour and 25 minutes. Budget $3,000.
Oh
my God.
This is going to be awesome.
A supposed treasure map leads a group of unsuspecting townspeople to the lair of a vampire-like creature known as El Chupacabra. Directed by Jonathan Mumm, who directed this and the sequel, Blood of the Chupacabra. Starring absolutely no one. Of the entire cast list, only 2 have actual pictures on their IMDb profile. It's just gray silhouettes as far as the eye can see. Reviews. This movie ruined my life.
Jesus. Was that from one of the actors?
If there ever was proof that there is no God.
Oh, gosh.
Jeez.
It was fun. No, I lie. It wasn't fun. This was from within one of the reviews. Not only are the actors unknown, they are bad at what they do.
Roasted.
So, it looks pretty goddamn bad. The trailer looks pretty goddamn bad. The effects are pretty goddamn bad. There's one part where the chupacabra flies by and cuts a girl's head off, and they literally just kind of marquee her head out of the shot in Photoshop.
Sounds great.
Pretty good. Huh? Huh? Huh?
Hmm?
Huh?
Oh no.
Nothing?
Nothing? Okay.
No, we're watching
All
it.
right.
We're watching it.
Okay, we're going to watch it, I guess. So much for that. Not tonight, folks.
You're not going to coax it out of me early.
That's good, because I actually kind of wanted to watch this after watching the trailer.
Good.
I'm always like down to watch a crappy monster movie.
Yeah. So, it's going to be good. Yeah.
I'm excited.
So,
$3,000 budget? Shit.
$3,000 budget. And it shows.
How much did Swamp Ape have?
More than that.
Did it?
10 grand or something?
Did it?
Yeah, I think it was like 10 or 20 grand.
I guess where we watched one where it was like a couple $100.
That was Fungicide. Fungicide was like $62.50.
Oh, Lord. Okay, well, let's wrap it up. Before we go on with the little spiel, I do want to take a moment just to reach out to the fan. Oh, shit, hang on a second. Sorry, the dryer sounded like it was going to bust through the wall like the Kool-Aid Man. I just started hearing... Okay, what the hell was I doing?
Saying something about the fans.
Oh, yeah. I just wanted to say real quick to the fans that, we've been late the last couple of episodes, and I'm just reaching out to reassure everybody that, we're still plowing forward.
Yes.
Shit's just gotten hectic with scheduling, and, the three of us, we're not in the same place. So when something happens with one of us, we got to shut the whole production down. And there's only so many windows that we have to do this a week. So bear with us. We're going. We're still going.
Yeah.
It's not going to stop. It's going to be not... I can pretty much guarantee you're going to get 2 episodes a month still. They just might not be like clockwork.
I think it's only noticeable this time just because it was kind of like back-to-back stuff. Because, look, it's a logistical thing every episode that we do, and it usually goes off without a hitch. Yeah. Just sometimes it doesn't, and I think it was a bad month.
Yeah. Sometimes, something comes up with somebody, we got to put it off. And then the next week, somebody else has something. Or we finish the episode and just my window of opportunity to edit it just doesn't happen.
Right.
So, but reassured, we're going to keep plowing through.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to keep going. So on that note, I'd like to thank everybody that's been listening and bearing along with us. If you can reach out and give us a review on iTunes, we would very much appreciate that. You can find us on Facebook at garbagetheater.com at facebook.com/garbage theater, on Instagram at garbage what is it?
Garbage _theater.
_theater. You can email us directly at garbagetheaterpodcast.com. Jesus Christ.
Gmail.com.
It's .com, yes.
garbagetheaterpodcast@gmail.com. Shit. If you want to suggest a movie to us, throw it at us. We'll watch it. We want to hear it. Yeah. Morons from Outer Space.
Dude, Desert Heat Award.
No. You're not getting that from me. It'll have to be John that agrees to that.
John loved it.
Travesty.
Shut up, John.
It is a contender, for sure.
Yes.
That hurts me to my soul.
Yes. Good deal. I'm happy now.
Because we got some dog shit coming down the pike.
It doesn't have to be given out, though.
Yes, it does.
We didn't give it out last season.
I know, nothing was worthy. We have a worthy. We have someone who's worthy. All it takes is majority.
Not happy about this. Anyway, it's in the past. It's gone. We don't have to think about this until the finale.
Right.
Next time we will be watching Rise of the Chupacabras. You can find it on Amazon Prime. You can probably find it on YouTube too. More than likely not. And we will see you then. Good night, everybody.